All right, this this video is talking about the physiological needs of hunger. So we're going to take a look at the physiological needs of hunger and the psychological needs of hunger. So first of all, the physiological needs of hunger, as far as physiological, we're talking about your biology. What's going on in your biology that motivates and causes you to be hungry. So first of all, changes in the hormone insulin will change your blood glucose level, which then tells your brain if you should eat or not. So if you remember, if you know any diabetics, the part of your body that controls insulin is your pancreas. So your pancreas will produce insulin and it'll change your blood sugar levels, your blood glucose levels, which will then tell your brain, okay, this is getting a little low here, you need to eat, okay? Or, yeah, your blood glucose levels are a little high, you need to stop eating. Now, obviously, if somebody is diabetic, uh, their pancreas either doesn't work enough and doesn't produce enough insulin, or it produces no insulin at all. So that's kind of how diabetics approach it. They will take a look at their glucose levels. This particular chart is looking at the glucose levels, and I think is looking at how much insulin that they need as a result. But a general good range for somebody is a glucose level between about 100, 150. Depends upon, you know, the individual person, as well as your height and your weight and all that fun stuff. But the more their blood sugar drops, okay, if somebody who's diabetic, their blood sugar drops, then they need to eat, right? They need to eat to be able to bring their blood sugar up. If their blood sugar gets too high, then they need some insulin to bring it back down. So that's kind of one thing that's occurring with hunger in your body. Now, the hypothalamus actually controls your hunger. So the insulin will change the glucose levels in your blood, which will then tell your brain, particularly your hypothalamus, and there's your hypothalamus in the middle of your brain. Remember when we did biology, and that it was the thumb part of your brain, if you remember when we did labeling the parts of your hand with parts of your brain. So this is the middle part. So the hypothalamus will control your hunger, and there's two specific parts of the hypothalamus: the lateral hypothalamus and the ventromedial hypothalamus. So the lateral hypothalamus will actually induce hunger, and that's the part that will tell you, okay, you need to eat. It's time to eat now. Ventromedial hypothalamus depresses your hunger. So this is the part of your hypothalamus, this is the part of your brain that will actually say, okay, you're full, you've had enough, stop eating. Okay. Now, it's not so easy as to say that, you know, oh, somebody who's overweight, they just have a really overactive lateral hypothalamus. No, not quite. There are some other issues that will lead to someone being overweight rather than just what's going on with their hypothalamus. But this is the biology part that, you know, causes you to eat. And then the last part that I wanted to talk about is that your weight will eventually reach its set point. So your book talked about this set point, and they kind of gave the analogy of it like being a thermostat. So if you think about it, of setting your thermostat, and let's say that you're in your house, you're setting your thermostat, let's say over the summer, you're setting your thermostat at, say, 70. So when it gets too warm in your house and it slowly creeps up, oh, thermostat's above 70, what will happen is your air conditioner will kick on and it'll start to cool the house down, right? And it'll cool the house down slowly. And then once it gets below 70, the air conditioner will shut off, right? So same thing with your set point of your weight. What will happen is that if your weight's rising, okay, and it's above your set point, then what happens is your body tells it, your body's telling you, okay, enough, we need to bring it back down. So we need to slow down our eating, we need to go and work out some more, whatever, okay? But then once your weight gets below your set point, okay, then it's basically telling you, that, oh, wait, you're starving yourself, you need to eat more, right? The problem with this then is that obviously if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to go below your set point, you're basically fighting against your body. And your body's trying to tell you that you're starving, and you're trying to psychologically tell your body, no, we need to lose weight. Okay? So that's the kind of the idea with your set point. All right, last points that I wanted to make, last slide, has to do with the psychology of hunger. So the last slide we talked about the biology part and the physiology part, okay? Now we have to talk about the psychology of hunger, or the thinking aspect of it. So first of all, some some people argue that taste preferences for different cultures are actually a result of considering the costs and the rewards of eating particular things. So if you think about it, like for example, in Hinduism, cows are sacred, right? Well, why are cows sacred? Some argue that the reasons cows became sacred in Hinduism is because the cow had value outside of being food, right? They were using it as farmers to help plow the fields, right? So they didn't want to eat the cow because the cow had an incentive. The cow had an outside purpose other than it being food. Others could argue, for example, pork in cultures, for example, Jewish cultures, pork is negative. You can't eat pork, right? And again, some people would argue that it's more having to do with the association of a pig, and the pigs are dirty, and you don't eat the pig because they are eating all these other things and they're rolling around in the mud, right? So some people argue that these taste preferences of what we actually eat are a result of considering what's the cost and the rewards in that particular culture of eating that particular animal. Other cultures are also more concerned with quality of their food and taking their time eating than American cultures. For example, look at French culture. Okay, think about French culture. If you've ever been to France, you may have noticed this, or if you've known anybody from France. But in French cultures, they are very concerned about how you thinking that the quality of their food is good. In an American culture, you're taught to clear your plate, right? And eat all of your food on your plate. So they're more concerned with you eating all of it. In French culture, they want to make sure that you actually enjoyed your food. They, as a result, also take their time eating in French culture. So it's very common to take your time and slowly eat over time. So even though some of their food may be a little bit higher depending upon fat content, but because you're eating and you're taking your time slower, the slower you eat, the more full you will get. And what'll happen is that it will make you full and you won't eat as much, okay? So that's kind of the idea with quality and taking our time. And in the American culture, we're more concerned with speed and quantity. We're not concerned about quality or slowing things down. Other studies have shown that the size of packaging also matters, as well as what we are told about the calories of a food item. There's been studies that look at, for example, individual package sizing, okay? So if you're looking at, for example, these are those individual snack packs of Pringles, right? Versus an entire canister of Pringles. They've done studies where they looked at, if they offer, a whole bunch of these snack packs of Pringles versus an entire canister of Pringles, what they found is that people ate more when they had the whole canister versus these little snack packs, right? So it was interesting because the size matters, okay? If it's there, people will eat more of it. Same ideas as if you're having a party and you go and put out the entire bag of chips, right? People are going to eat more handfuls of chips. However, if you put out a bowl of chips that maybe includes only half the bag, they'll only grab a little handful, right? Because they want to make sure everybody has enough, as well as they feel they're going to feel guilty about it, right? I'm going to just grab enough, this small amount. What you're told about calories also is interesting. There was a study that was done that looked at M&Ms, and they brought in people and offered M&Ms to them. And there was a group that was offered M&Ms that was this new quote unquote M&M that was, lower calorie M&M. It was the same kind of M&M. But they found when they told them it would have these M&Ms had lower calories, people ate more of them than the regular M&Ms, that they were just regular M&Ms that were out there. So what we're told about, what we're told about the calories, what we see as far as packaging, that also affects our hunger. If it's there and it's this big old buffet, people will eat more than if they are just offered a smaller plate size. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about with the physiology and the psychology of hunger. Let me know if you have any questions.